Imagine if every startup is shouting the exact same promises into the void, and no one notices the difference.
Precisely. The AI isn't just making the copy, it's making the sameness statistically inevitable, and that's where the real revenue gap lives.
So the secret isn't about better products, but about finding a value so unique your rivals simply can't copy it. Welcome back, I'm Bella.
And I'm Michael. This show's scripted and produced with AI, built by Taha Baba, pulling today's stories straight from blog.tahababa.com.
If you want these landing in your feed most days, go ahead and subscribe. Let's get into it. That demand curve analysis is wild. It sounds like startups aren't losing deals because the product is bad, but because everyone is shouting the same generic promises.
Precisely. When every vendor claims to simplify workflows, buyers just default to price or brand familiarity. It's the industrialization of sameness, amplified by AI making those forgettable claims statistically safe.
So the real issue isn't just marketing. It's the failure to find a value proposition that competitors can't credibly match. It makes sense that those coin flip decisions are costing so much potential revenue.
Exactly. The fix requires finding something genuinely ownable, something that speaks directly to failures the competition simply cannot solve. It shifts the focus from what you sell to what you uniquely fix.
So, Exploding Topics just made trend research automation a reality by integrating with Zapier and N8N. That sounds like a massive step for businesses trying to stay ahead of the curve.
It is, and the move from reactive spotting to proactive decision-making is the real game changer here. It bridges the gap between raw data and immediate action, which is exactly what we need in this data-saturated environment.
I'm thinking about how that translates practically. Imagine a content team generating SEO briefs while the rest of us sleep. It's the ultimate time saver for market research.
The efficiency gain is huge, but the real power is in turning that trend data directly into actionable workflows, rather than just accumulating more reports. It shifts the focus from knowing things to doing things.
Exactly. It changes the competitive advantage. It stops being about finding trends and starts being about acting on them instantly. I wonder how quickly everyone is going to adopt these kinds of automation tools. So, OpenAI just dropped Codex Micro, which is a programmable keyboard for controlling AI coding agents. That sounds like a massive step toward physical collaboration.
It certainly is a physical interface for an abstract process. It suggests that as agents get more integrated, we need tangible ways to monitor their reasoning levels in real time.
I like the idea of tactile control. How does that actually change the workflow for a developer using this setup?
It moves the interaction from purely textual prompts to direct, real-time approval and task switching using hardware inputs like joysticks and voice.
It really bridges that gap between the theoretical and the practical. It makes the human-AI collaboration feel much more immediate.
I suppose the real question is whether dedicated hardware like this will accelerate team AI adoption, or if it's just a very expensive novelty for the most advanced teams.
So, Atlassian is basically taking Jira and turning it into a central hub for managing these agentic software development workflows. That sounds like a massive shift for engineering teams.
It is a pivot from documentation to execution. Instead of just tracking tasks, Jira is moving into dynamically executing work using AI agents. It's less about tracking what was done and more about automating the actual coding steps.
And they're integrating tools like Copilot and Claude code directly into that process. It suggests that the future of development isn't just about writing tickets, but about having intelligent agents handling the heavy lifting.
Exactly. The real change isn't the tools themselves, but how teams adapt to a paradigm where intelligent agents are doing the work. It changes the fundamental definition of what an engineer manages.
It makes you wonder how engineering leaders are going to train their teams for this. Will the focus shift entirely to prompt engineering or something more holistic? So, Kalshi is essentially trying to put a financial layer on top of GPU rental prices for AI compute. That sounds like a massive shift in how we view infrastructure costs.
Exactly. They are trying to turn the volatility of infrastructure spending into a tradable asset, which is a huge step toward creating futures markets for AI hardware.
That makes sense. It shifts the focus from just the technical performance of the chips to the actual economic risk of running those massive data centers.
Right. It highlights the growing intersection between pure AI research and complex financial hedging. How might this new asset class redefine how companies budget for infrastructure risks?
So Visa just rolled out an AI financial assistant for banking apps, turning raw transaction data into conversational spending analysis. That feels like a massive shift for how we interact with money.
It certainly is. They are leveraging their trusted infrastructure to bridge the gap between complex financial data and immediate conversational insights. It's moving personalized advice directly into the banking interface.
But with over 66% of Americans already using generative AI for financial advice, what is the real differentiator here for the banks?
That's the million-dollar question. The competition won't just be about the data itself, but how they use that AI to create hyper-personalized services that feel genuinely useful, not just technically advanced.
So it's less about the technology and more about finding the human element in these hyper-personalized services. It sounds like the next battleground is trust.
Precisely. If the insights are actionable and seamlessly integrated, the differentiation will come down to how effectively they translate that analysis into tangible, trustworthy financial guidance for the everyday user.
So President Trump is pushing for the Clarity Act, a bill focused on crypto market structure, and he tied it to Senator Graham's memory. That sounds like a big move for crypto regulation.
It certainly is, but the real story is the pushback. While the White House and major crypto firms are backing it, you have significant opposition from banks and labor groups.
That contrast is fascinating. It really highlights how polarized the regulatory landscape is right now. How does the Senate majority situation factor into the chances of this bill actually passing?
That's where the uncertainty lies. With Graham's absence narrowing the Republican majority, the passage of the Clarity Act is now much less certain than it might have been otherwise.
So ultimately, the success of this legislation seems to hinge not just on the crypto industry's support, but on shifting those broader political dynamics. It makes you wonder about the long-term stability. Wow, Flex just raised $70 million to become an AI-native private banking platform. That valuation puts them at $1,200,000,000 mark.
It's a substantial round, certainly. It really shows how quickly demand is shifting toward tailored financial services for these mid-sized business owners.
And it really makes you wonder about the balancing act. How do big institutions manage to integrate this kind of innovation while keeping the essential element of trust and personalization intact?
That's the real friction point. The money is flowing toward AI, but the heavy infrastructure of traditional banking still demands an enormous amount of assurance.
So, it seems the future of banking isn't just about faster transactions, but about creating highly personalized, trust-based AI relationships for businesses that were previously underserved. All right, let's hit you with the rapid-fire round to wrap up today's deep dive.
We've got some big moves happening across the tech and finance sectors.
Starting with some data insights, Google Search Console shows an increase in crawled, currently not indexed pages.
And in the finance world, Stripe and Advent International offer to acquire PayPal for $53 billion.
Kalshi is also raising at an $40 billion valuation, and Block connects Cash App users with Square merchants for local food ordering.
ID Finance just launched a BNPL debit card for online and in-store purchases.
Shifting to enterprise security, the top 10 audit log event categories for enterprise security investigations are outlined.
Meanwhile, OpenVPN offers 3 tiers of VPN solutions for different needs.
On the organizational side, Julie Pringle Stewart discusses aligning charitable purpose with organizational strategy.
Prefect acquires Dagster for data orchestration. And Netflix is building a real-time dependency graph using eBPF flow logs.
Cloudflare acquires Arroyo for real-time data processing.
Expedia Group's AI framework mandates measurable business outcomes and shared platform foundations.
Media Trust and Amazon adds launch a free program for aspiring creatives.
They are also hosting a free online masterclass on optimizing LinkedIn profiles.
ITV Academy opens applications for a paid production assistant traineeship.
The BBC announces an 8-week paid trainee scheme for early career talent in BBC Radio.
Finally, we look at IBM's weak earnings, suggesting enterprises are shifting IT budgets from traditional software and infrastructure to AI data center investments.
And a report argues that most enterprises lack the contextual data and workflows needed to create valuable, continuously improving AI learning systems. That's today's show, scripted and produced with AI by Tahababa.
You can read the full write-up anytime at blog.tehababa.com. And if you want these landing in your feed most days, hit subscribe.
See you next time.